Good evening, folks. The intro thing decided it didn't want to work tonight. I don't know why that was, but there we go. I'm here anyway. Good evening, folks. Welcome to another Monday night live stream. I hope everybody's well. I hope you had a fantastic weekend and a previous weekend as well. Seems you weren't here last week. And I hope your week is off to a fantastic start. Hope everybody is well. Let me know tonight what you're up to. If it's your first time here in the chat, give me a wave, say hello. If you've been here a million times before, still say hello, and it gives me a chance to greet every single one of you. How are you all doing? What have you been up to? Let me know. Who's doing a little bit of who's been doing a bit of painting tonight? Who's sitting there with a beverage of choice? What is your beverage of choice tonight? I'm on the water at the moment. I don't know if I mentioned, but I was away last weekend. Not weekend just gone, but the weekend where we missed the live stream. I have an annual kind of trip away with some friends where we pretend that we're a lot younger than we are and drink far too much alcohol. And I think my body's still trying to recover over a week later now. So yes, water it is at the moment. So yes. Nice to see you all in the chat. Yeah, somebody's saying I haven't paid my live stream gods. I don't know what it is. I've got like my little stream deck thing here. I'm just picking up, my little thing with all my buttons on, and one of them buttons says intro, and it works every single week. And I always test them before I start, and it worked perfectly. But then when I come to do it to start the stream, for some reason, it decided it didn't want to work. Anyway, tonight we will be chatting. First of all, we'll be showing off the September painting challenge entries. We didn't get a chance to do it 2 weeks ago because we had Annie Norman from Bad Squirrel Games, and I thought it wasn't quite right to just kind of say, right, Annie, you sit there in silence while we just go through everybody's pictures. And then I'd forgot at that point that I wasn't going to be there the following Monday as well. So we're showing them off this evening. So we'll be seeing everybody's September entries. Don't forget the October painting challenge is still live at the moment as well. The theme for this month is the Hunt for Red October. Essentially, you just got to paint a miniature or multiple miniatures with red in it somewhere. So even if it's just a little red badge on a lapel or something like that, or it's a bit of blood dripping off an axe or something like that, as long as there's red on it, it counts. So I thought we wouldn't go for the obvious one, which would have been like Halloween themed stuff. I thought we'll go for Red October. So there we go. And then we'll be chatting as well tonight about our tonight's topic, which is there too much choice in wargaming? And I'm talking about the fact that it is where we're living in a bit of a golden age now, I suppose, of wargaming and miniature gaming, and there is a lot of choice. If you're somebody that likes to play games or you like to collect stuff, there is a lot of different choice now. If you're a painter, I guess this might not be as relevant, because at the end of the day, if you're just a painter, you buy the miniatures you like, and the more choice the better. There's lots of different things out there for everyone, and especially with things like 3D printing and stuff. But then the flip side of that, if you're a gamer, too much choice can be a bad thing. And somebody said in the Facebook group today, too much choice can never be a bad thing. I'm going to explain to you why there comes a point where too much choice becomes a bit of a problem, and what effect it has on us as wargamers, and then what is it doing to the kind of like the wider wargaming landscape, if you like. So we'll be chatting about that. But first of all, let's say hello to everybody that's in the chat tonight. We've not done our roundup of hellos yet. Well, I think if I remember right, there was a couple of early birds were in that haven't come onto my screen. Or maybe I have. Major Tom was in nice and early. Hello, mate. He's saying it sounds like an interesting one, but he's playing Vampire tonight. Timely, mate, with Halloween coming up. So he's going to catch the rerun. Hello, Ed, if you're watching this in the rerun, mate. Super Pumpkin Man was in nice and early as well, saying good morning to everyone. RG, nice to see you in as well, mate. Clyde Dashin says, I can't wait. Have to see what the community has been up to. It's always good to have a bit of a catch-up on a Monday night, isn't it? Nosef is saying, once again, really good subject to tackle. Thank you very much, mate. Unfortunately, we can't have all the good miniature games in existence, especially if you count at least 2 armies per war game. I don't think I ever really always get 2 armies per war game, but yeah, there again, I do get a lot of starter sets, so maybe we could see what it is. VJ, good morning to you, sir. Hope you're well after your trip overseas as well, mate. Good to see you back. Haxan, nice to see you as well, buddy. John Shepherd saying he's hoping that folks are doing well. He's busy painting this month's stuff. Nice to hear that as well, matey. How you doing? Super Pumpkin Man saying hello to all the nerdy people. Tasty Brain Drain, evening to you as well, fella. Blizzard says, I resemble that remark. Olas to you as well, mate. Or Olos, I should say. Joey C, good evening, mate. How are you doing? Yoakum, how you doing yourself, fella? Nice to see you in the chat as well. Jez Hunt, good evening, sir. How's things for you, mate? I think I saw somewhere in the chat you've been doing a bit more leatherwork stuff there. Colin Max is evening. It's evening, Nate. Good to be a legacy. I missed something in the translation there, mate, but I'm hoping you well. Zingbo, hello to you as well. Nosef saying hello as well. Big Dave, good evening. Wayne Hayward. Luke Pryor, nice to see you as well, mate. How's tricks? How was Essen? Looked pretty tiring. Christopher Smith saying there's always too much choice. GW just had the best business plan. There was always too much choice. That's an interesting one, because I would imagine back in the early days there probably wasn't that much choice, which was the whole reason why GW are kind of standing the test of time a little bit now. But I don't think there was always a huge amount of choice. Certainly not to the extent that we have now, I think. We'll come on to that anyway in a bit. Mark Coxey, good evening to you, mate. Volcano, hello as well. Andrew Fairbanks. Yes, I did pay the live stream gods. Yeah, VJ saying he forgot to give likes to the like throne. Clyde saying giving up on beverages, only drinking dehydrated water from now on. Dehydrated water. Bobby Clark says, hey Andy, I just got those John Hodgson backdrops today. Very cool looking. Yeah, somebody else as well. I think it might have been John actually. John Shepherd said he got his books today as well. So it seems like they're starting to get into people's hands now, which is really cool. Luke saying he's played Old Swan's getting played on Wednesday night. Should have been last week, but two of us were full of cold. Yeah, my little lad's full of cold. He's been off school today. Absolutely sort of terrible night's sleep last night he had, chock-a-block. He ended up getting into my bed with my wife, and I was sleeping in the spare room, so oh well, could have been worse. Super Pumpkin Man says he's painting the monthly challenge today. Yet in Jezza saying yeah, he's been tooling leather, making runes. John says, did anyone go to the other partisan? I did. It was rough, too many games stuffed into the place. It was as clammy as out. Very hot for those that don't understand the northeast lingo, and they had all the doors open and it was still hard to breathe. I did hear it was very hot, mate. Unfortunately it clashed with something else. I was away, so I couldn't make it, but I've been looking at the list of kind of wargaming shows coming up and stuff, and they either seem to be a little bit too far away or they seem to clash with the things I've already got in my diary. But I am off to Mantic Games on Saturday for their open day, their October open day. So if anybody's at Mantic Games on Saturday, please do say hello. Please remember, I might not know what you look like, but you know what I look like. So do not be shy to come and kind of tap you on the shoulder and say hello and introduce yourself. It's always nice to kind of to chat to folks. Tony Howell, hello to you, fella. How are you doing? Nice to see you in the chat tonight, mate. I just jumped ahead there massively. Where was it? Yeah, VJ saying the stream decks can be a bit buggy. Yeah, sometimes they can be, mate. You're right. Andrew Fairbanks saying if I knew the September challenge turn-in was today, I might have done something. It wasn't today, mate. It was 2 weeks ago. I haven't accepted any new stuff, so yeah, you didn't miss out. Well, you did miss out, but it wouldn't have made any difference if you put it in today. Tasty Brain Drain saying he's enjoying a beverage right now. Mountain Dew. Nice, mate. And Jessica saying I thought about the choices in gaming and I have a lot of opinions. Too many to choose from. It's like chooseception. Haxan saying he's been working his way through Orc Quest Warpath, which may or may not include some red. Good to hear, mate. John saying his beverage of choice is Asda lemonade and lime. I do like a lemon and lime, mate, I must admit. Luke says I can find too much choice paralysing. I have limited myself from so many games that I know I would love, but I have so little time for the games I do have that if I go for another, I end up doing none. It's an interesting point, mate, and it's definitely something I'll be touching on soon. VJ saying is pretty much the poster guy for adult ADHD. Too much choice leads to overwhelm for me, which leads to shut down and doing nothing. Good point, mate. Honestly, I've got my notes here. Well, as soon as I get through these kind of seeing the hellos, we'll crack straight on with that, I think, and we'll have a little bit of a discussion about it, because I think I want to make sure it gets kind of like enough time to discuss it. Holy Ghost Games, good evening to you as well. Welcome to the chat tonight. Nice to see you. Blair, good evening as well, mate. Mordecai says he's finalising his warband for the next This Is Not a Test campaign. Nice one, mate. And Jess is saying, yeah, analysis paralysis. That's absolutely right, mate. Jonathan Dawson, good evening to you, mate. How's things? Tony says, I got sidetracked on the red thing as I wanted to do a scenic platform for the John Hodgson backdrop books. But a GW Necromancer is my entry to be painted. Must paint a bad Squiddo mini for a challenge. Yeah, that'll be cool, mate. It'll be nice to see. VJ saying he's putting the kettle on. Anyone needs a cup. I wouldn't mind a coffee, mate, if you don't mind. It might be cold by the time it gets here, but yeah, would be appreciated. Mark Burton, good evening to you, mate. Tabletop Impulse is saying tyranny of choice is a real thing. Back when we had 3 flavours of crisps, you were happy. Now we have hundreds and you wonder if you picked right. I know there's a little bit of sort of comedy in that, mate, but there's an element of truth as well. And yeah, exactly what I'm going to come on to in a bit. 10 Sketch says, interesting topic. Unfortunately, the algorithm seems to want us to believe that our choices are Warhammer and Warhammer in space. I do appreciate channels that go out of their way to discuss others. Yeah, I mean, what I would say, I'm a fiddler. I like to fiddle with stuff. I've got a toothpick here that I use for putting super glue on it, so I'm just fiddling with that while I talk. I really enjoy talking about all the other stuff that's out there. To my own detriment, I would suggest. It stops the channel from growing. I don't get as many views, and it can make it struggle at times. But I tell you what, I'm much happier talking about stuff like that. Like I don't know if everybody's seen it yet, but I did my sort of what's this week in Wargaming video on Friday, and I talked about some Colourforge paint. I talked a little bit about Mantic Games and about their new Kings of War supplement, their Clash of Kings stuff. But I also talked about 2 other games as well, and I'm racking my brains now. One of them was 7TV, which is something I've heard you folks talking about in the live chat. I've heard folks talking about it in my Patreon and stuff, but I must admit I've never really give it a huge amount of attention, purely just because of the amount of choice that's out there. But it looks really, really interesting, I must admit. It definitely looks interesting. And what was the other one? I'll tell you, I've got my list of stuff written down here. It was on Dead Man's Hand from Great Escape Games. That was the other one as well. Another game that looks great. And I've been looking for like 7TV information and Dead Man's Hand information, and I'll be honest, there's not a lot out there. And I feel sorry for these kind of companies and stuff. It must be really hard to get. And I don't mean this disrespectfully, so please don't take it that way, because I'm not a big channel either. But it must be hard to get channels with a bigger viewership to talk about games that have kind of fly under the radar a little bit, or a bit more niche. Because essentially the bigger channels are all Warhammer based, and they're all Warhammer based because that's where the audience is and that's where the clicks come from. And it's really hard to kind of like... to get any exposure. So I completely understand what you're saying, and it's exactly right as well. However, there is choice out there, but the Warhammer stuff plays into that, so I will come back to that in a bit. Troy H says, tuning in from across the pond to hear yet another dose of the accent. Which part of the British Isle is it from? It's from Newcastle, mate, which is in northeast of England. So yeah, I'm from the northeast, not a million miles away from the Scottish borders. So to some people's ear, especially from overseas, it can sound a little bit Scottish. It sometimes sounds a little bit Welsh as well. I think there's a lot of mining history, coal mining, especially in shipbuilding in the northeast of England, and I think some of that's kind of replicated in Wales as well. And I think some of that like sort of accent rubs off a little bit. So yes, it's northeast England, mate. VG says, I get the Essen one day. I've been watching the Dice Tower coverage. Looks awesome. Yeah. Jez is saying he enjoyed Friday's news. And he's just saying, yeah, north of east of England. Thank you very much, Jez. Wow, there's a lot of chatting here tonight. Yeah, John saying his arrived today. Mark Burton saying he got his Grimdark Future Mini STLs. Just need to have to get them finished. I painted the 2 free ones though. A nice one, mate. Oh, he got the order in, that's right, mate, yeah. Blair saying his books arrived on Friday as well. Vijay says he's looking at Gen Con or Adepticon via San Fran next year, though. I still want to get to Adepticon. I've mentioned this many times. I was all set to go the year that it all got cancelled for the 2020, the pandemic stuff. And I've just never really got my I've not really got my shit in order to get it organised again since then, to be fair. But yes, I would like to go to Adepticon. VJ saying dehydrated water is dust. Yeah, do you want a pint of dust? Jonathan Dawson says, I get excited about the new games and minis, and I have to put my purchases on hold to think it through. I only really game once a week, so try and keep my trigger finger in hand. Yeah, it's dead easy to kind of like get swallowed up by that kind of stuff. John saying Battleground in Stockton will be the next one he's going to on the 25th of November. 25th of November is actually my birthday, mate, so the chances are I'll probably be busy doing something else that day. And this is what I mean about things, they clashing. It always seems to be like there's nothing in the diary at all, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's a Wargaming oh no, it already clashes with something else. Tony's saying, I'm a painty type, so I can't say much on this one, but I'll enjoy chatting. I think it's still relevant as well, Tony, because like you still have to choose miniatures, and actually sometimes there's a point I'll make later on, and I think it's probably still relevant. If you're just choosing miniatures to paint, that even that's relevant for this one as well, mate. Clyde saying, yeah, he's more and more with Tony these days. Nab what I want to paint regardless of if I like the game is for. If push comes to shove, I can make the mini work for 7TV or Pulp Alley. Exactly, mate. Tony says, toothpick for the toothpick god. I swear by them for super glue application. Yeah, I've only just started mine. I must admit, I was building. Let me just show you. Yeah, I know you can't see them at all, but I was building some Hametsu models, which very, very kindly got sent out to me by the good folks at Blackside Studios. And they also sent me one of their absolutely beautiful Hametsu rule books as well, which are an absolute thing of beauty. I must admit, they are like, it's probably the most beautiful rule book I think I've ever had in my hand, to be fair. And I'll be doing some kind of closer up review type stuff and sort of unboxing type things. But yeah, they sent me over some Hametsu models, which are all resin. So I've been sitting with my super glue, just making sure I didn't overdo it with the glue. RG saying the trouble with 7TV is that in itself gives you too much choice. Yeah, Jez is saying he's got 7TV, Fantasy and a couple of expansions if you want to borrow them and have a look for that. I might well do, mate, to be fair. I'm kind of, I'm just picking my way through. Like I say, I've been looking online for kind of how to play to try and like sort of understand the basics. And there's not a lot out there, to be fair. There's not a lot of stuff that really, there's some stuff that they've done with, is it Edge Hill University, I think, who they've collaborated with a couple of times, and they're very well produced videos, but it's almost like a dump of information, rather than just a kind of like sort of these are the basics, this is what you need to know kind of thing. It feels like it's almost quite like 40 minutes of in-depth. You do this and you do this and you do this. Like it's not easily digestible, I would suggest. Andrew saying, if I bought into every game I thought was cool, I'd be broke. Have no room in my house and none of them done. I don't just want a faction, I want to have all of them. There is that, mate, yeah. Luke's saying, yeah, one of the reasons I've not pulled the trigger on 7TV is because the lack of info, and I can see there's so much stuff, so we need more to make an educated choice. But I love the look of the pulpiness. I agree, mate. The more I've kind of dug into it, the more I've realised I don't think it's the game that's complex. I think it's just the fact that there's a staggering choice of what you can do, and sometimes there's that element of that sandbox type thing where it's like you can do anything you want, and it's like, yeah, but I just want to get started kind of thing. It's difficult to get started in something that seems so open-ended. Exactly, mate. Let's have a little look here as well. Where are we up to? Zingbo saying, note that the northeast of England lies to the north of England. Yes, we are the proper north. Almost north of the wall. 10 Sketches saying, the only way it seems you can get GW Warhammer channels to talk about lesser known game is to send them free stuff, and for smaller companies sometimes that's just not possible from a financial perspective. I think there is an element of, if you want a channel to talk about your stuff and that channel is of a certain size, I think there's an expectation that you probably send them something out. Otherwise, there's no motivation for them to necessarily spend their own money on something that's not going to get the views. So I think there's an element of that. However, the other side of it is, it's just, unless they're being, and this is where the brutal kind of realities of commercialism comes in, unless it's a paid advert, majority of them won't touch it regardless anyway. So unless they're being paid for their airtime, a lot of them won't touch it. There's some videos I get paid for. If I'm kind of advertising something or promoting something, then there's still sometimes a payment involved and stuff. But 99.9% of time, like for example the This Week in Wargaming stuff, there's never any money changes hands for those kind of stuff. Anything I feature in that is generally just stuff I've seen online that I think looks pretty cool. And only once, I think, has anybody contacted me and said, I've been recommended. I speak to you. I've got a small game coming out. Would you consider kind of featuring it or anything like that? Only once has that happened. But yeah, no money changed hands for that kind of thing. So I know it's small. I know it's hard. Sorry, for smaller companies, but it's hard for YouTube channels as well. It's their business as well. They got to make money out of it, and it depends upon what their business model is. It's why so many of them now see them advertising Raid Shadow Legends, t-shirt companies. What's the other ones that they advertise? Things like what's the website, Squarespace, all that kind of thing. That's why you see so many adverts on channels now like that. Super Pumpkin Man says, I cannot really say anything about accents. I'm a Texan with no accent. I'm sure you're not a Texan with no accent. I'm sure you have an accent. You probably just don't think of it as a very strong accent. Blair says, Dead Man's Hand at our club got pushed out by What a Cowboy. Both decent games. Interesting. John Shepherd says, I've got a load of Crooked Dice miniatures but never bought any of the 7TV rules or other items. Mark saying the STL packs will be available in December with some really cool looking ones. Yeah, Andrew says dehydrated water would be like salt, not dust. Yeah, do you want some salt? I guess it would be if it was sea salt anyway, mate. I don't know if is there much salt in tap water. Clyde saying 7TV has better defined themes and is way more tongue-in-cheek. Pulp Alley gives way more freedom to create your character stats for your minis. And VJ is saying, I've only got the 7TV rules as PDF so far, but plan on buying some STLs to go with the scenarios and settings. I like the idea of having those kind of like little scenarios and settings and things, and almost giving you a here's how to play it in a box type thing. But I'm still getting my head around the whole thing at the moment. Clyde saying Black Site stuff is pricey, but their stuff's gorgeous. Yeah, it's super pricey as well, mate. To be fair, as well, if you're trying to get it overseas. VG says, has Ash done a 7TV how-to video? Not that I've seen, mate. Not by searching for 7TV. I don't think he's ever played it before. Jonathan Dawson says only 22 likes. There's 55 of us. Come on, there's 20. There's. It says to me there's 54 people in the chat. We've only got 29 likes. I'm sure you can push that up there a little bit. Zingbo saying he's got a friend who's very into 7TV, but all I've done with his paint the models. They did the traffic warden from Threads, which to be fair was a lovely model. Yeah, VG saying it might be a good starting point. No, he hasn't, mate. He's never touched it, as far as I can see anywhere, mate. Luke says 7TV is a prime example of when I said I find too much choice paralyzing. Yeah. Joey C says, you mean you're into this hobby and you're not already broke with rooms overflowing with models and hobby stuff? Is that just me then? Yes, mate. It's all of us. Don't worry. Haxan saying, as somebody who has far too many board games and a waiting pile of miniatures to paint, I have to control myself when it comes to new war games. Have resisted Conquest despite my interest. I think I'm going to sell my Conquest stuff, to be honest, mate. I really enjoyed playing the game, but I've got to be realistic and realise that I am very, very unlikely to paint a full army for it. So I think I'm going to cut my losses and probably sell my stuff off, to be fair. Somebody contacted me today to see if I was going back to the club to play Conquest, and if not, did I want to sell my stuff? And that's when it kind of hit me, and I thought, I think I'm just going to sell it, to be fair. John says, I have a board game called Warmaker, called by Warmaker, called Soy or Die Trying. I fancy replacing the card standees with Crooked Dice miniatures. That'd be cool, mate. Volcano, hello mate. He said he's currently painting Rogue Trader era Chaos Terminators. Very nice. And he says, yeah, Spy or Die Trying. Yeah, not Soy, that would be a different game. Super Punker Man says, oh man, using the mini hobby drill to put rust pox on a sword is scary. Yeah, watch them fingers, buddy. Haxan said, if I buy minis just to paint, I usually use them in Star Breach or Swords, Space Weirdos. And Tony saying, nice compromise is the Outer Hebrides. Lee Russ, hello mate. He says, here's my like. Thank you, Lee. Very, very kind of you. John Shepherd is saying 0.45 Adventures is like for skirmish games, mainly for 30s pulp. Nice. Yeah, and Mark saying, yeah, all of us. Rooms of unpainted models and stuff. You are not wrong, my friend. Camo, good morning to you, mate. Jonathan Dawson says, realistically, I think I can only play one war game, maybe 4 skirmish games, and fill the gaps with board games. I think that's a good point to come on and start. Excuse me. Let me just get a drink of water. It's probably a good point to come on and start talking about too much choice now as well. In fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to flit across to here. I'm going to set that away recording. And I think what we'll do is we might try and even squeeze a clips video. I haven't done one of them in a while. I keep forgetting to do them, if I'm being perfectly honest. But we might try and squeeze a clips video out of this one as well. So tonight, the main topic is I want to talk about too much choice in wargaming, and do we currently have too much choice? Now, I would suggest that we are in an era at the moment, which is kind of what you could say is the golden age of wargaming. I think there's never been as much choice. The quality of stuff's probably never been as good as it is now. And I think there's something out there for everybody when it comes to choice of models, choice of rule sets. Do you want a little skirmish game that has sort of 5 or 6 models and plays in 30 minutes? Do you want something that has sort of 200 or 300 models on a full-scale army and it plays in 3 or 4 hours? I think there's something out there for everyone now. But with that kind of variety and with all of those options comes choice. And I was starting to think about this today, about is there too much choice now? And the reason that's I kind of posted this in our Facebook group today, and somebody said you can never have too much choice. And I said, well, you can't. I agree until having too much choice becomes a problem rather than a benefit. And he said, I can't imagine that having too much choice would ever be a problem. And that's where I want to kind of come into it from, really. And I think that essentially once you get too much choice in anything as well, not just within wargaming, but where we are now, we're talking about wargaming. Once you get too much choice, you end up in one of two positions, really. And there's something called the paradox of choice. And you would assume that if you have lots of choice, that should be better because that you've got more things to choose from. Therefore, there must be something that kind of suits you. When in reality, I think the opposite is actually true. And as I said before, one of two things will generally happen with more choice. You either get choice paralysis, where there is so much stuff out there to choose from that you don't really know kind of where to go. It's almost like there's too many options. It becomes paralyzing. And therefore, what some people would end up doing is just going, you know what? I'm just not going to bother. I can't make a decision. I can't settle on one thing. There's too much choice, I'm just not going to bother. Or it's too confusing, there's too many different entry points, there's too many different kind of, too many strings to the bow, if you like. That's one thing that generally happens. The other side of it, what happens is when people are confronted with lots of choice, is they still become confused by the amount of choice, but they end up just going back to the default thing, or they go to what they know, or they go to what their friends suggest or something like that. And rather than actually exploring the choice that's out there, they just go, oh, well, what do you think? What do you play? What do you suggest? What does my local shop sell? What's the biggest? And I think we see this in generally in life anyway. Like if you think about things like Netflix, for example, like having Netflix should be a good thing. There's a lot of choice on there. You know, there's films on there for everybody. There's films, there's documentaries, there's TV shows, there's comedies, there's horrors, there's action films. But if you sit down on a night and you go, oh, I think I'll watch a film, I'm sure you do it as well, but I can spend half an hour, 45 minutes just flicking through all of the options, not actually physically being able to settle on something, because of something which I think will ring true to a lot of people, is that you almost don't want to start watching one thing because you think there's probably something better if I keep searching. There's probably something else out there. And another thing is, I used to work in beers, wines and spirits many years ago, and one of the jobs I've had in the past is I basically ran the technical services department for one of the major breweries in the UK. And the guys in my team would basically go out and install all of those big beer taps that you see on the bars. And if you walk into a bar and you are confronted with an absolute array of different beers to choose from, we used to do kind of research about this stuff. And basically, as somebody would walk into a bar, they would see all of the beer taps, and they would almost be making their decision about what beer they wanted on the way to the bar. And there was things like the placement of where you would put the taps. You would make sure that kind of certain taps were more prominent. If there's places where people stand to get served rather than places where the kind of the glass collectors put all the glasses, you'd want to make sure that the beer that you sold was in people's kind of eye line. Much in the same way, if you go to a hobby store, there will be certain game systems that are on eye line on shelves, and other things that are kind of tucked towards the bottom or out of line of sight kind of thing. And there was research done that whatever you started drinking at the start of the night, the chances are, in order to make your choice easier as the night went on, you would just choose the same beer for the rest of the night. So there was a lot of research and science went into beer tap placement, making people's choices. And the same thing happens in wargaming as well. It's this idea of the fact is that I'm presented with so much choice that sometimes it's just easier to go with the default thing, go with the thing I've always known. Like, for example, if you grew up playing Warhammer and now you're presented with 30, 40, 50 different options of something else, you might not be enjoying Warhammer as much as you once did. But the fact that there's so much else out there, you're almost kind of like, oh, there's so much choice. I think I'll just stick with what I know. It feels easier to kind of stick with this than it is to kind of move on. And there's something else that's relevant as well when it comes to too much choice, and this paradox of choice is that actually we become less satisfied with more choice. So if you've only got a choice of 2 or 3 things, you will generally choose one of those things and you'll go, oh, this is pretty good actually. I'm glad I chose this one. If you then have the option of maybe 40 different things, psychologically you're presented with so much choice that you say, there has to be something in this. There's so much stuff here. One of these things will be the perfect thing I'm looking for. Because how could there be this much stuff, all a little bit different, and one of them not be perfect for me? So whichever one you choose, you tend to be slightly less satisfied because your expectations are a lot higher, and therefore they're never really met because you come in with much higher expectations. So this is one of the things that kind of scientists look at as well when it comes to things like the paradox of choice, where the more things you are presented with, the less satisfied you are with the thing you choose, and you always think one of the other things must have been better than this one. And it's quite interesting when you actually get into the kind of like the science of it and things. So it's a funny thing when it comes to miniature war games, this paradox of choice, the fact that there is so much choice now, the fact that people tend to go one of 2 ways. They basically either get sort of puzzled or get confused by the amount of stuff and choose nothing, or they just stick with what they know, or they stick with what somebody else recommends. And it's, I guess we were just been chatting in the live stream tonight about kind of YouTube algorithms only recommending one kind of thing. And there's reasons why this happens. It's not just because something is popular. It's because something is popular and therefore it becomes recommended more because people are not searching for other stuff, because people almost want somebody else to tell them what to watch sometimes. It's a bit of a kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, really. Sometimes you're presented with so much choice, you actually just go, look, just tell me what. Like if you were going, I think you also see this in restaurants as well when it comes to menus. If you go to a restaurant that has a menu that has maybe 5 or 6 items on, you find it pretty easy just to go, yeah. There's probably 2 or 3 things I don't like very much. There's probably 2 things that I really love. Oh, well, I had that last time I was here. I'll have the other thing. You go to a restaurant that has like 40 things on the menu. It's this analysis paralysis kind of thing. I used to work in beers and wines and spirits, I said before, and I used to work in a wine department. It's one of the reasons that you see wine lists the way they are, is the fact that most people will not choose the cheapest wine on the menu because they don't want to appear to be cheap. So what they do is they are presented with such a big option and such a big list, and they're confused because most people are not wine experts. So what they do is they buy the second cheapest bottle because they don't want to appear cheap, but they don't want to overspend on something that they don't know what they're buying. So they buy the second cheapest bottle of wine on the menu. So wine lists are created with that in mind as well. I know I'm getting a bit off topic here, and I'm going a little bit a bit left field and stuff. But when it comes to wargaming, is more choice better for us, or has too much choice created a kind of an analysis paralysis now, where Warhammer becomes the default choice because people are just worried about sort of getting into stuff they're not interested in, because there's not just one or two other things to kind of do. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that you are paralyzed by choice? Do you think more choice is better because it gives everybody a chance to kind of find the niche that they're looking for, even if maybe they'll never ever get to try it out? Wargaming stores and hobby stores won't stock everything because there's only so much space on the shelves. It's a funny time. As I said before, we're at a time where I think some of the best games that have ever been created are out. Like, there's so much choice, there's so much experience in tabletop gaming now in terms of the creators. There's so much experience in sculpting and the accessibility to things like Kickstarter to get high quality things out there. But with too much choice, sometimes becomes the paradox of choice, and you're unable to choose what you want. Yeah. I'm just watching I'm just keeping watching. I'm sure at some point it's an excellent connection, so I'm sure at some point it'll come back. I'm just keep watching for it. There we go. I can see it seems to be working now. It should only be a matter of time before. I'll just let everybody know to refresh. So I'm just getting everybody to try a refresh now. I don't know what it was. I think it's just that it's just having a moment. It's just having a moment for some reason. So let me know if you're all back. I know some of you still hung on. That's all right. Just give me a little way. Everyone's saying yeah. So I don't know what that was. I literally pressed a button, and then YouTube decided that it didn't have a connection from the stream anymore. And just dumped it for some weird reason. So anyway, we're back now. I'll get back up here. I'll have a little look through the chat and see what folks were saying about my ramblings about having too much stuff. Here we go. Deep Red, hail and well met, he says. Nice to see you, mate. Nice to see you back in the chat. Thank you, folks, for sticking with us as well. I appreciate that. Super Pokemon saying he's moving back to the hand pin vice. The drill's going to end up stabbing. Sounds dangerous, mate, to be fair. Clyde said, I knew it. He scammed us into a clip show. I nearly said end up scamming you into 2 live streams there, to be fair. Tony says, I heard this in 2004. We had a golden age. Is there too much choice, but GW wasn't going bonkers then? I don't even think it's just GW, mate. I mean, GW release a lot of stuff, but if you don't play Games Workshop stuff, there's still a lot of choice. There's still like lots and lots of war games out there, and it seems like even some of the smaller ones still seem to be able to manage to sell enough stuff to keep going. It's not like all of these companies are kind of going to the wall and things. It feels like there's enough to go around, but just some of the smaller ones don't always get the exposure. Vijay saying, as long as it's not a greatest hits clip show, all bacon sandwich and who's up on the latest Marvel TV. Yes, mate. Mordecai saying, it seems a shame to rid yourself of a game you both enjoy and have people to play with. For most gamers, it's too often either one or the other in my experience. Yeah, I mean, I think, to be fair, I think a lot of us kind of, especially us kind of lot that hang out here in this community and stuff, we like a bit of choice. We like to kind of paint lots of different things. We like to try lots of different things. We like to sort of play a lot of different games. But I think if you move away from the internet and we move away from YouTube, there's quite a lot of people who really just kind of play maybe 1, maybe 2 games with a couple of friends. I don't think it's as like, I think it feels commonplace that there are people kind of swamped by 25 games and not knowing which one to play. But I don't think it's the norm. I think it's maybe just I think we all pull together kind of thing. Volcano says, focus on one thing and do it. I started painting Iron Hand's Firstborn last year and have finished over 100 models so far. Yeah, and I think some people can, mate, to be fair, but I think a lot of people don't. A lot of people do kind of like to jump around and do different stuff. Fiji saying, this show's on at breakfast time for me. Imagine how tempted it is to hit the cafe for a bacon sandwich. You're not wrong, mate, yeah. Jess says, who fancies to scroll through a load of films for the night? Honestly, it happens to me and my wife all the time. Should we watch something? The little one's just gone to bed, and then we spend kind of like 40 minutes looking on Netflix or Amazon Prime or something to find something. Disney Plus, and by the time I've kind of, oh, should we watch this? She's already asleep. And Clyde says he's talking about pubs and suddenly he wants pub food. Joseph says, people think they like to have more choice, but it actually causes more stress to make a decision. The sweet spot is about 8 to 15 choices. Too few and we feel cheated, too many and we're overwhelmed. It was something I remember reading a long time ago about. There was an experiment what they did, and essentially, if, like, for example, this has got nothing to do with war games, but like, if you've got like a market stall selling jam, for example, and what they did was they tried this experiment 2 different weeks to see what worked. And the first week, this jam stall had 5 different jams to choose from. And what they found was something like 40% of people walking past would stop and kind of have a look at the jams. And the next week, they had something like 15 jams, and what they found was about 70% of people would stop and have a look. And what they decided was, well, more choice, more people are interested. And generally, as a rule of thumb, if there's more choice, people think they want more choice. It goes back to what I was saying before about how people assume that if there's lots of choice, there's bound to be something perfect there for me. So they come in with high expectations. But what they actually found was, when it came to the sales, even though there was more people came to look, less people actually bought anything, because they were basically sort of this analysis paralysis of, I've got too much choice now, I don't really know which one I want. Where when there was only 5 jams to choose from, something like 70% of the people that came to have a look bought something because they weren't overwhelmed with choice. So the kind of like the research shows that people want choice, they think they want more choice, but when they're actually presented with more choice, they're less likely to commit to something, and they tend to be more disappointed because they have a higher expectation that like the perfect thing is in amongst that choice kind of thing. I find all that kind of like that's psychology and sociology stuff. I find it really interesting. Volcano says there's only one beer to consider. Flensburger Pilsner. Never even heard of it, mate. Haxan says watching films was much easier when you went to the video store and rented 2 or 3. I often go on Netflix and spend so much time choosing that I go off the idea. I think we've all been there, mate. I think we've all been there. You just got to look at like YouTube videos and stuff. It's one of the reasons why YouTube like curates your feed and starts feeding you things that they think you're gonna like, or they think other people like this, so you'll like this as well. That because there's more videos on YouTube than you could ever kind of sort of absorb or look at. So all they do is they just keep throwing the same kind of stuff at everybody, and it's disappointing when you're trying to do something a little bit different. But I get why it happens. Tony says the problem with Netflix is they make certain decisions for you. They cut out a lot of the options that I enjoyed in the DVD on the shelf option. They do, mate, but as I said before, I think if they gave you all of the options, it would be even harder to choose. But you're right. It's like, for example, me and my wife, obviously, we share a Netflix account kind of thing, but we've each got our own kind of sort of icon type thing. And if I click on my wife's Netflix, the things that she gets shown to watch, some of those never even end up in my list, and I might enjoy them, but generally, yeah, they did like this. My wife doesn't get shown sports documentaries, for example. So there you go. VJ says it must be I must be the weirdo then. When I'm presented with an array of beer taps, I'm always looking for the new thing I haven't tried before. Yeah, I think the vast majority. I think people generally don't always kind of. Like, unless you're looking for something new, looking for something different, most people, when presented with too much choice, resort to kind of like what they know and what they're familiar with. It's why people go on to the same holiday destinations every year. It's why people kind of eat the same meal every time they go to the restaurant kind of thing. because people actually, like, we make a lot of choices in day to day, like on everything. Every single time you do something, you're making choices, and I think actually in general we're not built to make that many decisions. Jonathan Dawson says, I use the example of a bookshop like Waterstones. I walk in wanting a good book and walk out with nothing, too much choice. Perfect example, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Mark Burton says, for me, war games, it would be if my friends are playing it, but I don't actually play war games. I just like painting, so they have cool minis I get to paint. Yeah, and I think this is the point. I don't even think, like, it's not necessarily kind of, some people don't make the choice of playing what their friends play because they want to play with their friends necessarily, which I know a lot of people like that. That's the main point. But even if they don't enjoy the game, a lot of people still pick that game because it's just the paralysis of choice, and like, well, if I enter into the unknown with this new game, like, what will it be? What if it's worse? What if it's worse than what I already play, kind of thing. Mark's saying, yeah, he also uses minis for RPGs, so he finds minis that match the character. Archie says, if you go to a restaurant that has 40 items on a menu, you aren't getting good fresh food, you're getting pre-prepared food. It doesn't mean those restaurants are not out there, mate. If you go to any Indian restaurant, you will find sort of many different curries to choose from, and that's generally because the curry base is the kind of the thing that everything else is made from, and then they add in bits and pieces to make the different references, the different recipes, if you like. But the main curry base, if you like, is kind of stuck. But it's amazing how much choice they have in an Indian restaurant. Jess says all menus should have numbers given to each option, so they give you a dice to choose. Yeah, you're not wrong, mate. You're not wrong. Let's have a look. Joseph says, timely topic for me. 2023, I focus on making painting a habit, and 2024, I'm going to start focusing on games, and I'm still scratching my head on what games to pick because there are so many. Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. Let's have a little look. Clyde saying, how about you have less choice than GW, turn off the stream. John saying, I've painted one crooked dice mini for this month's challenge and busy painting up some American woodland Indians with red war paint from Perry. Nice, mate. Nice. Let's have a little look here. Mutton Chops, good evening. He says, the problem with too much choice is everyone's looking for that certain something. So unless you're very lucky, you'll struggle to find that player base. Yeah, it's kind of like what I was saying before about, I think when you've got more choice, like if you've got a lot less choice, you will kind of, I think you have lower expectations because, like, if I'm going to give you the choice of 2 or 3 sandwiches to choose from, you'll go, oh, I didn't really fancy any of them, but go on, I'll have that one. And then you eat and you go, actually, that was kind of better than I was expecting. But if you're offered the choice of 25 different pizzas, for example, you generally kind of are, you either go back with what you know, or you choose something and expect it to be good, and if it's not, it never lives up to your expectations. Let's have a little look here. Tasty Brain Drinks in. There've been a few nights where I sat down to watch Netflix but spent so much time browsing I didn't get a chance to watch anything. Been there myself, mate, many times. Nosef says there are 2 sides on the topic, stores and players. Stores focus on at least one pricey product or company and then decide 1 or 2 lesser pricey ones just for options. Not necessarily, mate. They tend to focus on what sells at the end of the day. Like, it's all right saying something's more expensive, but if nobody buys it, then it's kind of irrelevant, really. But when it comes to game stores, for example, they sell Magic cards, they sell sort of Pokemon cards, they sell Disney cards now, they sell Warhammer stuff because it sells, because it's the big sellers. And it's the same as the YouTube thing. It's a self-perpetuating thing that when you go to your local hobby store, if you're looking to get into miniature stuff, you're going to be presented with Warhammer stuff because it's the biggest selling and it's the most popular, and people will try and drive you down that route because it's like the quality's fantastic, it's really good stuff, loads of people play it, and it's, again, it's that self-perpetuating thing. So you're presented with lots of choice, but in the absence of necessarily knowing exactly what you want, or in the absence of knowing enough about it, you end up going with a default option. No, sorry, Haxan said I sometimes spend 25 minutes choosing and then realise I've seen it before. I've been there, mate, as well. Evening, Anna. Hope you're doing well. Nosov says, on the other hand, players decide mostly on what their gaming community plays and then pick some extra games according to their money and preference. I think gaming communities tend to rely upon one or two people who tend to be the arbiters or the kind of like the almost unelected leaders of like what happens, because generally in every gaming group I've been in, there's that one or two strong characters, and I've been that person in certain gaming groups I've been in. But there's that one or two characters who go, oh, I really fancy this. Who else fancies playing it? And other people kind of tag along and they go, oh, I'll buy a starter for that, or I'll have a game with you. I'll have a demo of that, because there are some people who are the magnets, if you like. They are the glue that keeps those kind of those games groups together. And generally, whatever they choose or whatever they try and recommend, and I don't mean this in like an overly pushy way, whatever they choose tends to be what gets played. And that's why some gaming groups play Mantic stuff. It's why some gaming groups play Warhammer, why some gaming groups play D&D. I think generally people are just looking for somebody to kind of like to bring them on the journey. So every gaming group will have that one or two people who are the kind of like the ones at the front with the play this game kind of thing. Camo says, I thought you might mention the law of diminishing returns somewhere. I think that's it's relevant to this, but not necessarily when it comes to choice. I think sometimes the more choice you've got, the less differences there are between things. So there is a law of diminishing returns and that kind of stuff, I suppose. VJ says, as I only really mini game with one or two other people as the main picker and painter, I don't really feel the whole I can't play if I can't find a community to play with limitation. Yeah, I think I honestly believe that if you want to play something enough, you will find somebody to play it with, because as I said before, each gaming group has those people who are generally the kind of the ones that kind of rally up everybody else and get them to go. If you're passionate enough about something, I think you will generally find somebody else that will give the game a go with you. I think if you're passionate enough and if it's something you really want to play, 9 times out of 10 you'll be able to find somebody locally who will at least kind of have a demo with you and at least give it a try and things. And sometimes you just need to push out your comfort zone and find new gamers if you really do want to play something different. Luke's saying there's a wealth of choice in all aspects of the hobby. Look at the paint ranges now as an example. Yeah, that's almost kind of getting out of hand now, the paint ranges. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like there's not a huge difference between the paint ranges now. I'm sure people will find their own kind of personal sort of choices, and it might be through branding, it might be through sort of loyalty to a certain brand, but generally I think very few people will spend the money to try all of the different paint ranges to decide which one's the best for them. Most people will just find one and settle on it kind of thing, and as you can see, end up sticking with one particular brand. Tony says, yeah, we had Rackham and Privateer Press being serious contenders as Brom-inspired game and the birth of weird games. It was exciting and fun, lots of choices, but it was a painty type stream. Now is cool too. I love the choice. There's a hell of a lot of choice now, though. There's a lot of independent stuff. 3D miniature printing, like 3D printing, has really ratcheted it up to allow people to kind of like sort of to hire sculptors and like not even have to worry about the production side of things. Look at one-page rules as an example and how big that's become in its own little world. Look at how companies like Privateer Press are using 3D printing for manufacturing now. There's so much sort of options now when it comes to getting your game to market, where in the past I would suggest it was a lot harder to be able to get something new to market, especially if you had a miniatures range. Maybe not so much just selling like a kind of like a mini agnostic rule set, but yeah, getting like a miniatures range to market much easier now. Andrew saying, I have been the only person who played a game at a local gaming store. It's hella lonely. Yeah, I think it can be, mate, but I definitely think like there's ways and means, and we've been through that in other videos and stuff. I won't go over them again now, but I think sometimes just you've got to be the advocate. You've got to be the what's the word I'm looking for? You've got to be the I can't even think of the word now. But you've got to be that voice, that loud voice kind of thing. You've got to try and bring people aboard, if you like. Frantic says, choice is nice if you have all the time and money in the world to try everything. Otherwise, it's pointless. I kind of disagree. You don't necessarily have to try everything. You don't have to buy everything to be able to make a choice. You just need to be able to research, or you just need to be aware of what it is. So, for example, if for example this game here is 15mm miniatures, and you go, not really interested in 15mm miniatures, you can kind of rule that out. If this game here is a sci-fi game and you're not looking for a sci-fi game, you can kind of rule it out. It's so choice doesn't have to be about time and money. It can sometimes just be about being informed. But I think the more choice you've got, the more research you need to do, and therefore the kind of like the harder that choice becomes. Because I think because you put more time into researching that choice, you put more pressure on yourself to find the perfect kind of game, if you like, and which will generally kind of like lead to more disappointment, because no game is perfect. Mark says, usually when I try and limit what colours I have for an army, then I can get through it. Yeah, definitely, mate. I think that's also a good idea as well. Andrew says, I'm letting Netflix know you share an account with your wife. They'd like to know where you are. We share an account because we live in the same house. Therefore, we're allowed to share an account. You know how you have different users? That's what I mean. I'm not sharing an account with 25 other people's houses. John says, I don't think there's much choice in all my purchases are well researched beforehand. But then I guess the fact that you're making research shows you are making choices. You are ruling out some things and including other things as an option to buy. Therefore, you are still making choices. Volcano says, playing a game you don't like just because... Where was that one? Just because others play it is a sure way to ruin the hobby for you. You will be surprised, mate, how many people do it. They will suffer a game because they want to play with their friends, or because they've sunk a lot of money into something, rather than kind of deciding to choose something different. Calvanoni says, no one needs to buy any hobby products. It's all choices. I agree, mate. It is all choices. Choosing which hobby you want to do is a choice. Choosing to not do any hobby at all is a choice. Andrew says, now regarding why I choose the same thing at a restaurant, I'm absolutely spoiled for choice. I go there for that one dish. I wouldn't have gone back if it wasn't any good. Yeah, I get that. But then I guess it depends on how often you go back there. Like, for example, when I used to work away with work, I would stay in like a hotel maybe 2 or 3 nights a week, and I would be eating in a hotel restaurant or something like that, or I'd be eating in like a local restaurant somewhere, and you very quickly get sick of your favourite meal when you're eating it 3 times a week. So it gets a bit different. If you're only going to that restaurant once a month, or you're only going to that restaurant once every few weeks, or maybe even once every 6 months, then it becomes a bit different. Tony saying, a little like VG, why you did a little different. I like mixing it up. I can't even paint a regular mini of the studio where I'd rather get creative. Yeah, I get that, mate. Holy Ghost Game says, there's too much used too much money, but finally my group has landed on 4 games we all like to play. I just need to find a good cowboy game and a skirmish sci-fi game. Got my eyes on Dead by Lead and Project Mara. Not two games I've not even heard of, mate, to be fair. Super Punker Man says, this is why I love Warcry. It can allow players to get a taste for a bunch of all the other AOS factions without needing to spend a huge amount of money on a full army. Yeah, that's a good point, mate. Sometimes choosing to play a certain game because it allows you to widen your hobby scope, if you like playing Kill Team allows you to choose like smaller armies of lots of different factions, rather than having to paint one big army to play a sort of full-scale 40k or something. Ed saying, evening, thought I'd drop in and say hi, Pose Vampire. Hello, Ed, how are you doing? VG says, people call me passionate when they mean, damn, I wish he would just show up about X. Jonathan Dawson says, I'm moving towards agnostic games as I can use my minis and some simple rules. Hanging my nose, I've the doomed. Yeah, evangelist is the word I was looking for, VG. Thanks very much, mate. That was exactly the word I was looking for. I get why people would choose mini agnostic games, because they can choose whatever minis they want. And do you know what? I found this really funny. I was watching Tabletop Minions video the other day, and he was talking about how any game can be miniature agnostic if you want it to be. And I thought, I remember saying that a while ago, and he commented on my video basically saying that I didn't understand. So I thought I was kind of, I must admit, I had a wry chuckle about that the other day. But yes, any game can be miniature agnostic. Like, I tend to find if you're playing miniature agnostic games, you're probably playing with like 1 or 2 people that you play with regularly, because they are not the kind of games that you will play with a big group of people, unless you have a big group of people who are into that kind of particular game. And therefore, if you're playing a miniature agnostic game with 1 or 2 people, you can play any game you want as miniature agnostic at that point in time. Jonathan Dawson says, you've got to be the lightning rod. Yeah, exactly. And VG said, as Adam would say, a gaming advocate. Yeah, evangelist is definitely the word I was trying to think of, and it wouldn't come to my brain. Volcano says, I've decided that single-player scenarios are the way to go for me. I think they are if you enjoy playing single-player games. I'm not hugely a big fan of playing single-player games, if I'm honest. Cult leader. That's another way to put it as well, mate, yeah. Yeah, Jess is saying, not if it's a cannibal cult. Ed says, did September minis get done? No, I haven't shown them yet, mate, but I'm about to show them now. So yeah, we'll be doing that. Jonathan Dawson says, I'm interested to know how many different games do people play more than a few times a year. I think that in itself is a question, mate, because I think most people don't play that many games. I think there are some people, obviously, that play very, very often, but I think the vast majority of people don't play that often anyway. But I think, which is half the reason why they get caught up in so many different games, is because they're always looking for something to kind of to fill the gap, if you like. VG says, I've always said you and Adam are more similar than you realise. I don't disagree, mate. There's a lot of things that Adam says that I totally agree with. It was just, I always remember that one about the mini agnostic things. I always found it funny that he thought we were very, very different on that point, and I was thinking, we're kind of making the same point. We're just like, maybe you don't understand what I'm saying. But yeah, I always thought that was a funny one. Clyde saying, 5 leagues and parsecs from home, I can play solo a lot. Same with Stargrave. Pull Alien 7 TV a few times a year with what I call other people. Andrew says, didn't realise that VJ was so passionate about a 2002 Vin Diesel movie. That was the Triple X comment. Mark says, we were playing Cyborg RPG every other week. Currently was Pathfinder before. And Tony says, I love that clan. They're so wrong. I love it. Oh, you're talking about the vampire stuff. Nice. Right, I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm going to dive in now, and we are going to show off some of September's miniatures. So let me just get my stuff here. And I will also get my emails up so I can go back through them and see what people were saying about stuff. And I've done them all in submission order. So we're starting first off with Darren Deep Red. And as we flick across, let's hope it doesn't. Whenever I've pressed the button on here, something's gone wrong. So are we still rocking and rolling? We're still all right. All feels good at the minute. Still got a stream connection. Yes, we have. So this one's from Deep Red. He says, I finally finished my 12mm acrylic Dark Elf Cavalry. They're all cut from 2mm clear acrylic and are essentially just silhouettes, which is perfect excuse for not painting any detail. I like these, mate. As you can see, they're not very well painted. They're fine, mate. Nothing wrong with them at all. He says, but from a distance, they look good enough for me. Really like the weekend Wargaming, old son. It's going to be a regular watch for me. Thank you very much, mate. Very kind of you. But yeah, I think these are a great compromise between getting stuff on the table and looking colourful and not like sort of overthinking things, because certainly when you think, I think there's a shot here which just shows, I think it was this one. This one here. Once they're all ranked up and stuff, they look fantastic. And that's the whole point of what you're trying to get across on the tabletop. You're trying to get something that looks good on the table. And I like what you've done, mate. I think it's a great compromise. I mean, that's a great shot. I mean, if that doesn't look like an army, then you're not looking hard enough, kind of thing. So I think they look great, mate. And you should be rightly proud of them, mate. You've done a cracking job on them. well done, buddy. So thank you for the submission, and also well done on the army as well. Scott Webster's next up, and Scott had a couple of pictures he sent in. One is, he said, I've decided to submit this for my entry into this month's challenge. It's a tenuous link, but I loved how the photo came out so much. It was one of the community members who steered me in the right direction. So a big shout out to VJ Morph. He made a simple but effective suggestion to up my photo game. The models are two Nuremberg airships and a Metzger Colossus for the Imperium faction for Dystopian Wars. They look fantastic, mate. Love what you've done with them. You're painting stuff for the for Dystopian Wars. Always looks good, and it always kind of always inspires me, mate. I must be honest. Love the finish that you've got on the sea bases as well, the water bases, and some nice choices in the colours there as well, mate. And he also submitted another one right at the last minute, which was this one as well. And he said, didn't see the September stuff getting shown off yet, so I've submitted this as I loved painting up the new Mantic Sci-Fi plants. They took minimal effort and have given me some gorgeous scenery for all things weird and wonderful. So yeah, so these are the Mantic Kickstarter that they did for the terrain crate for the sci-fi trees and stuff. And they look fantastic, mate. He's obviously painted them up pretty quick because I don't think they've been in people's hands very long. But he's done a smashing job, and the bright colours really do kind of fit with that sci-fi kind of weird world theme, mate. So yeah, nicely done, mate. And thank you very much again for submitting them. Next up, we have Joseph Cresswell. And Joseph has said, here are my photo submissions for Sexy September. 2 Veerman miniatures from Dead Zone. I've absolutely loved painting and modelling the Night Terror, especially, and haven't had so much fun painting a mini before. I kept adding more details on the base and the mini and had a ball doing it all. That's what it's all about, mate. If you're having fun, you're doing it right, and this looks awesome. He said, I was originally going to submit pics of that model, but after you cast doubt on the beauty of the glorious broodmother on the stream the other week, I had to submit her too. The resin water effects came out better on this one, and both minis have fluorescent paint in parts that I discovered glows nicely under UV light. All the best to you and yours. They're from Joey C. So thanks very much, Joey. These are awesome. I didn't see that on there. That kind of sort of that like sort of drip coming down there from the gloop from the moor there. It's really cool. Love this the base. Really nice how that's turned out. Love the basin. Love the colour choice. Yeah, these are still not very attractive, mate. But yeah, it's really nicely done. Great work on the basin. Love the bits of chains on here as well. I don't remember them chains being on the actual models, but they might be. Just the way it's drooped over the side makes me suggests to me that you've added them yourself as well. But I think it looks great. And here is the sexy brood mother there, looking hot to trot as well. Yeah, love the basin, mate. Really has come out nicely, and that yellow looks suitably kind of corroded and weathered as well. Very nice, mate. Thank you very much for submitting them September ones. I really do like them. Next up, we've got Mr. Jonathan Dawson, and Jonathan said, is anything more sexy than a monster? I printed off a Wendigo free on my mini factory. I always like free. And he said, just for the fun of it, I think I'm going to use it in some agnostic games. Thanks for the great content and motivation. You are very welcome, mate. Thank you for submitting this stuff. But yeah, nice work. Love what you've done with the eyes there, mate, as well, in the mouth. Some lovely highlighting to the skin there as well. Basin's fantastic. And yeah, it's really suitably creepy, and a very nice 3D print as well, mate. Really, I really do like that, actually. I have to have a look in there. So yeah, it's amazing what you can get for free online as well when you start looking for kind of 3D files and things. There's some really cool stuff up there. But yeah, awesome work, mate. Very nice. Thank you again. Next up, we got Mr. Joseph Nekulak. And Joseph says, I wasn't able to find anything on submission guidelines. Don't worry about, mate. As long as you can get to me, that's good. He said he's still navigating his way around this community. You're welcome, mate. You are very welcome in this community as well, I should suggest. He says, but attached is my entry for this month's challenge. All the best, Joe. And I have no idea what the miniature is, where it's from or anything like that, but it looks fantastic, and I really like what you've done, mate. Some beautiful paintwork there. Really nice basin. Love what you've done with the highlighting and shading, and it really is a nice miniature. I'm trying to place it. It looks a little bit War Machine, but I'm not sure if it is. But I'm sure if Joe's in the chat, he might actually say what it is. But yeah, beautiful paintwork, mate. Really nice. Nice work on the eyes there as well, and the face. Really, really nicely done. Yeah, Clyde saying hammer time lady, and Tony saying way cool, Joe. Yeah, it is a very, very cool miniature. Thank you very much, mate. Love that. Next up, we have Patrick. And Patrick says, let's have a little look here. He says, hope you're doing well, long time watcher, first time poster. Always good to see new folks putting stuff into the challenges as well. He says, this is my entry for the painting challenge for September, a Warmaster Titan from Adeptus Titanicus. I thought to myself, for a shorter time, I should pick the largest model, and I have. I think it fits the theme well because I wanted to paint it for a long time, and that's what's sexier. And what's sexier than a huge mech? There you go. He says, funny story, I built the Titan, partially created and painted the base years ago, but somehow I lost interest. It took me roughly 1 week, approximately 35 to 40 hours. I had paid leave and my wife was on a business vacation, so I had enough time for painting. The sad thing is I have another one of these things to paint. Best regards, Patrick. Thank you very much, Patrick. I think his email address is also Keepup, so it may be under the name Keepup as well. But yeah, he's got his Loki model there basically just to kind of show the scale of it as well. But he's done some really, really cool work for this. It's really nice. I love what he's done with the chipping on there as well. Really does work well. The kind of like the purple kind of, I forget what it's called, but you know when something's been really hot and the metal kind of changes color. They look really cool as well on the guns. Some beautiful work on the striping here as well, and the freehand text and stuff. Really, really nice, mate. Some close-ups as well. Yeah, he's done a cracking job on this one. And I really, really do like this kind of like the weathering around here. It looks very, very realistic. Very nice, mate. Love it. Basin's great as well. Really nice work on the basin. I love the blue glow to these coils as well. I'm sure there's some nice words in the chat there as well. Clyde saying, always love them big stumpy robots. Heat Bloom, Tony, that's what I was trying to think of. Zingbo saying, Titans are cool. That one looks great. Yeah, really is nice, mate, isn't it? Fantastic work. And I love that. The attention to detail around here as well really does just kind of set it off as well. Beautiful work, mate. Really, really good work. Even the kind of the hazard striping across here as well. I can appreciate how small that probably is. It's probably not the easiest thing to do. But yeah, well done, mate. Love that kind of that striping work on there. It looks super straight on there. Very, very impressive. Ed saying there, now I want to do my Adeptus Titanicus models. Yeah, makes me want to paint one now, mate, when I see this kind of stuff. Awesome, mate. Really well done. Thank you so much for submitting it, and hopefully you see this and you submit something else as well next month. Next up, we have Mr. Clyde Dashing, and Clyde says he was going to do 2 minis, but things fell apart and had to rush this one. This one is Ida Sivney from The Witcher. Hopefully sultry enough. Definitely is, made beautiful, really, really nice paint job on it as well. Love the work you've done on the base. This kind of red stuff here really sets it off. Lovely skin tones there as well, and the shading. And I love what you've done with the yellow. Yellow's always a difficult one to kind of get right, but it's beautifully done, mate. Really do like that model. But yeah, lovely work. I like the kind of the highlighting as well. The kind of the brushing on the wood staff there as well. And that definitely looks very leathery on the bag. Beautiful work, mate. Thank you very much as always for submitting. Next up we have Mr. Rob Green, and Rob said, I'm cheating. It's a short month and I suspect you may be short of entries. To be fair, we had a few more this month. He says, in my defense, I still haven't finished painting the Carnivale table. I thought I would put it out to see how far I've come and how far there is to go. I take heart from Annie's from Bad Squiddo's comments a few weeks ago. She and some friends have taken a year to paint their gaming table. Printing has taken 2 months with some other things in between. Where are the bridges I've improvised? He said, with elders of the university, I now have the option to use his bedroom as a hobby space, so hoping I can get 30 minutes in here and there and start making a dent in the terrain. He says, all the red bits will be redone in the greeny, bluey grey. It doesn't show how well in these images, but in person you can really see the tonal difference. And he said he's restarting with the church and the medieval buildings, a crossover for his ECW7 TV table, and it's a mix of 3 different Kickstarters. Very nice, mate. So he's got some terrain for his submission, and this looks beautiful. All 3D printed stuff, I'm assuming here by looking at it. Looks really nice. I always like 3D printed terrain. I'll be honest. I'm a big fan of the stuff. But this just looks amazing when you start to print these things off and then you start to build the table up. It's always really, really nice when you see it coming together. But yeah, it's looking good, mate. Looking good. Nice to see it all starting to come together. Little bits of wooden planks and stuff as bridges and stuff. And then he also, I think, on a separate email as well, there it is, he said, alongside to trying to sort the Carnivale table, I've had these conifers from Rocket Pig STLs printed in Sun PLA. These are the trees, sorry, that he's been doing. These. And he said the river piece was a quick construct in Tinkercad this morning, a test print, and then wet brush, dark blue, heavy brush, dry brush in mid blue, and lightest dry brush in light blue. Very nice, mate. So it's a bit of a DIY solution, he said. So that's 3D printed as well, and something that he's created himself, which is very impressive. And then his minis he's been painting as well. We've got these are the Smash Martians. I don't know if I had Smash over in the States, which was basically kind of like powdered potato that you mix with water. And these are a colour scheme. He's got some Daleks and some Cybermen as well, which I think look awesome. Really nicely done, mate. Nice basing on them as well. K9 there, the Doctor Who. And then he's also got these Daleks as well, which look great. And he said he's having the son's bedroom as well as the hobby space now. He's working a treat. So yeah, nice work, mate. Very, very nice. We eat them with our steely knives and forks, isn't it? Or forks and knives, I think it was. Nice one. Mark Watson's up next. Thank you very much, Rob Green, I should say as well. That was awesome. Did I say Mark Watson there? Let me just... Oh, that's because I've skipped ahead from the other one there. And Mark said, went for something sexy and seasonal. Ezra of Deadheim by Kingdom Death. And very, very nicely painted this too, mate. I absolutely love what you've done with that paint job. The work on the books there looks absolutely beautiful with like the kind of like... I was going to say like molten wax from candles and stuff, but it looks like it's like smashed pumpkins and stuff there as well, which looks great. Skin tones look brilliant as well, mate, as well with the this kind of deathly face to it. And I love what you've done with that. It looks awesome. And then here's another shot of it there as well. I'm not that familiar with the Kingdom Death minis, but this one is really, really nice, mate. I really like what you've done with it. Wouldn't get far in them shoes, mind, would you? Like, you wouldn't be going dancing in them bad boys. But yeah, beautiful work, mate. Thank you very much. Yeah, awesome stuff. So yeah, so that's half of the stuff. We'll get on to the other half in a minute. I'm just going back. So I thought we'll break it up a little bit. I'll quickly dip back into the chat, see what's going in the chat, and then we'll go back in and do the other half of the stuff as well. Yeah, folks seem to be loving some of the stuff, some of the Adeptus Titanicus stuff. Mark saying big old stumpy robots. What my roomie called a Mech Warrior was a fun game. I played a lot. Yeah. VG saying it's a very nice Carnivale table. It definitely was, mate. Yeah. Deep Red saying that's a lot of work and well worth the effort. And Jonathan saying that's a game I fancied giving a go at. The starter box is so reasonable. It definitely is, mate. Super cheap. And Clyde saying, yeah, less messy than pouring water on a table. You were not wrong. Ed saying, given that Kill Team is getting water table rules in the new season, a Carnivale board is looking more reasonable by the minute. I tell you what, mate, I did notice that. I haven't really read a lot of what was in the updates, but I did see the pictures from the weekend, and the board did look pretty cool. Gary Smith saying, hello Gary. He says, I'm at work. I shouldn't really be watching YouTube, but what the hell? Try not to miss your streams. Thank you very much, mate. I don't want you getting into trouble, but I do appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, John saying they boil them and mash them to pieces. Absolutely, mate. RG says, I've been printing the remaining key bits tonight. It's a labour of love. It looks fantastic, mate. Beautiful work. And Mordecai saying, yeah, excellent work, everyone. Yeah, we've still got some more to come, mate. I think yours is in the other list as well. So yeah, it's still something to come. They peel them with their metal knives. They boil them for 20 of their minutes and smash them to bits. They truly are primitive people. Yeah, I remember those adverts when I was a kid. I always remember them. Yeah, very, very nice indeed. So I think what we'll do is we'll caught up on the chat there. We'll dive back in and we'll do the second half. And we are starting. I'm petrified to press any buttons now. We are starting with Mr. John Shepherd. So John said, "Hi Andy, here's my figures. I've been painting all Crooked Dice miniatures." It says top one, all Mad Max figures left to right. The Humongous, Wes, the Blast and the Blaster. These are really nice, mate. Love these. Nice with the Mohican there as well. These are different ones. Nice basing as well, mate. Love the way they're set off. Yeah. I like I said before, I'm not familiar with all of the Crooked Dice miniatures, but the more I see about them, the more they do kind of appeal to me to pick a few up to paint. Next up, he says, the rest are just generic post-apocalyptic figures, apart from the one in the Duster coat in the last pick, which we haven't got to yet. He says it was their version of Mean Machine Angel. But yeah, these are cool, mate. Is that like a zombie there as well? Has he got like a mask or something on this face here? I like that though, mate. Nice miniature. It's got a bit of Van Helsing look about this one here as well. Van Helsing with a machine gun. I like it. And yeah, this one. I love what you've done here with the kind of like the lenses on the gas mask. It really, really stands out well. Love that, mate. And then these two dudes as well. These are the Duster coat thing that was the Mean Machine Angel. Love them, mate. Really, really nice work. Thank you very much for submitting them. As always good to see the mixture of stuff that folks send in here. Next up, we've got Ed, Major Tom there as well. He said, I was hoping to get one more done, but these four will have to suffice. They do suffice, mate. They look awesome as well. Always like seeing your stuff. So here we got some, I'm assuming these are Sisters of Battle. It just shows how much I know about 40k stuff. But love these, mate. Really, really nicely done. Beautiful work on the white as well, which is always an absolute nightmare. Or I find is a nightmare. Nice work on the faces as well and the skin tones. Beautiful work, mate. Lovely as well with the backdrop as well. I do like that kind of widescreen shot as well with a nice bit of terrain and things. It's amazing how that sets a picture off. Yeah, really, really nice, mate. Not models I'm familiar with, I'll be honest, but I must admit they do look good. Love the basing as well with the warning stripes on there as well. Nice work, mate. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Mr. Olaf Stilson. And Olaf said, a little something I painted up for Bolt Action, a Home Guard LDV Force, and SOE Annie. There we go, mate. Like that. It's nice bit of kind of like snow stuff to the base and that as well. Really nice work. Nice work picking out those glasses as well, yeah. I like it, mate. I like it. Sorry, I was just trying to read the email there. I was trying to work something out, but yeah. No, lovely work, mate. Really nice. Nice clean colours. Looks really, really sharp, mate. Beautiful work. Nice little model as well. Again, not one I'm familiar with, but looks awesome. So thank you very much, Olaf. Appreciate that, mate. Next up, we've got Zingbo. We've got Chris there. And Zingbo has been... he's been doing this. He says, my submissions for Sexy September. Well, the main submissions are more adorable than sexy, he said. So what he's got... Oh, they must have come through in a different order because it says, my bonus entry is the greatest Ultramarine and therefore the greatest Space Marine and citizen of the Imperium, Cato Sicarius. He's sexy and he knows it. Nice one, mate. I like that one. And then he's got these ones. He says, the King Troll and his Royal Guard of cloth goblins. King Troll used to be a simple cloth troll called Troll. One day something got stuck on his head and the next thing he knew a bunch of cloth goblins followed him around calling him Your Majesty. He was going to eat them but they brought food when he demanded it, so he kept them around. These models are from statuesque miniatures and absolutely lovely. They do look pretty cool, mate. I've not seen these before. But they got loads of character in them, I must admit. These could be used in all manner of things. I love these minis. This one here was right at the back. I love this one. They're really cool, mate. I love those minis. And there they are a little bit there. Look at the little face on that dude. They are cute, mate. I'll give you that one. Less sexy, definitely more adorable. But I love those miniatures. Where they're from, did you say again? I've just read that. Statuesque miniatures. I'll have to have a look at those. But yeah, check them out, folks. RG saying they look cool. And they are fantastically painted. They are fantastically painted, mate. Ed saying they are bonkers. And Zingbo saying, I love the cloth goblins. I'm so happy to have them. They look amazing, mate. I've never even seen these things before. But I do like them. They've got like a kind of like a kid's story feel about them. I do really like them. Yeah. Cloth goblins. Very nice, mate. Thanks for sharing those. I would never have seen those if you hadn't shared those. So thank you very much. Mordecai's up next. And Mr. Mordecai said, this is a quick test piece for a different gold effect using Sand Golem speed paint over a metallic silver. Oh, I tell you what, speed paints over metallic silvers always look good. I really like the control of tone and texture of this technique that this technique provides compared to out of the pot gold metallics. Yeah, it looks awesome, mate. Really, really nice as well. And this next one as well kind of shows off that back banner as well. Nicely painted, mate. Beautifully done. Love the basin as well. Really does kind of ground it in a kind of like in that kind of post-apocalyptic sci-fi world type thing. Looks awesome, mate. And the red's a beautiful choice as well. It really does stand out nice, that red. Love it, Mordecai. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate that. Next up, Mr. Howell. Beautiful stuff as always. He says, yeah, I made this month. I wanted to do more but had to hit the done button. I've added a back shot too and proved that I haven't left his cheeks bare in the wind. Awesome, mate. I love this kind of this metallic here. I remember you saying how you were doing that, and I love the way it kind of looks like sort of hammered metal. It really does look good. You've done an awesome job, and I love the fact that it's set in its own little kind of dungeon world as well there with a little wooden door open. Looks really cool. And there's the back shot as well. You're right, you haven't left his butt hanging in the wind. Lovely work on the basin there, mate. Oh, this background as well, the bits of terrain stuff that you were working on before looks amazing, and those kind of like spiders web stuff really does make it stand out. Beautiful work, mate. Love those browns as well. They've really come out great. Love that. Let's see the two of them together. Let's get rid of that second one. Yeah, and the skin tone with the highlights and the shades there as well. I love the skin tone on the face as well there. It almost looks bruised around the scar. Beautiful work, mate. Really, really nice as always, Tony. Thank you very, very much for sending that in. Next up we have Yoakum. And Yoakum has been doing a little bit of Rumble Slam, and he said, I thought it was a tricky topic this month, but finally decided to paint the Mexican halflings that call themselves the Lords of the Ring. How do these not so sexy halflings end up as my sexy September, you might ask? Well, when they enter the Rumble Slam ring under the massive cheer from their fans, you hear their theme song playing in the background. I'm too sexy for my shirt. Says that's an entrance. Love it, mate. And I love this as well. I love the little the referee guy eating a pie, eating a pasty in the background. Then the Lucio masks there as well. Really, really cool, mate. I love these. Love the skin tones as well. You've done a cracking job on those. Here they are individually. Look at that guy. Little hairy feet as well. Looks amazing. Nice as well with it being in the wrestling ring as well. It really sets them off. But beautiful work there on the mask as well. I can really see the kind of different greens and stuff that you've put into that to get that effect. And painting them eyes, I'm sure, was no mean feat. There he is, the little fella with his little belly just hanging at the bottom of his t-shirt. Whistle in one hand and pasty in the other. I love what you've done with the skin there as well, mate, with the little kind of rosy cheeks and the rosy nose. Looks like he's had one or two too many brandies, I think. Yeah. Beautiful, mate. Really are nice. I'll tell you what, the Rumble Slam minis have got bags of character, haven't they? They really do look cool. RG saying Rumble Slam, love the models, just couldn't get through the rules. These are lovely models and truly capture the game and the wrestling. Yeah, they definitely do, mate, don't they? They definitely do capture it. Love that, mate. Really, really nice skin tones as well. And I love the work you've done on the masks and the shorts. Awesome, mate. Awesome. Definitely bags of character in them. Love that, mate. Thank you so much, Yoakum, as always. I don't think you've ever missed a month, mate, have you? You've been absolutely stalwart of putting them in every month. Next up, we got... Oh, I'll go back to my emails there. Marcus Schneider is up next. So, Here we go, Mr. Super Pumpkin Man. And he said, so what is sexier than a female a female elven warrior? So I painted Druanti, the arch revenant of the age of Sigmar Sylvaneth, with a number of customizations such as her pose, head, weapon and paint scheme. So I went with my autumn theme like one I used last year, but with the addition of monarch butterfly wings. I ended up using multiple painting techniques on this miniature, and I think she's an amazing addition to my Sylvaneth Warcry warband. I agree, mate. She looks fantastic. And I also love the kind of like the background as well, and the leaves around the base here. Beautiful colour choices, mate. Love these kind of autumnal leaf colours and the wing colours as well on the background there. Really does look good. Very nice indeed. Love the bit of verdigris on the shield there as well. Those wings again, looking good. Yes, very, very nice. The blend as well on the spear there, from the kind of the greeny blue at one end all the way up to the white. Really nicely done that, the way that's been blended in. And I love these leaves down the back of the cloak as well. These scattered around really pull those colours together with the background as well. And there's the wider warband looking good. Really nice, mate. I've always fancied the Sylvaneth Force, actually, if I'm honest. That looks cool, mate. I really like that. It's a nice kind of group shot. I've always fancied painting some Sylvaneth stuff. Just, I think it can always, like, there's always like something different you can do with it when it comes to colours, because you can really push like sort of a cherry blossom colours or something a little bit more sci-fi, like fantasy-esque sort of weird colours that you wouldn't necessarily use. But they're beautiful, mate. Really, really nicely done. Love that work. And last up is Mr. Type 40 TARDIS, Steve Hallowich. And Steve has been painting a little bit of She-Ra from He-Man at the moment. So he's only painted one mini the entire month. She-Ra of He-Man fame. He says, moving took all my energy. Moving will do that, mate. But you have done a cracking job on this. And it means you've got another painted miniature for your He-Man games now. So there's nothing wrong with that, is there? Lovely work, mate. Everything where it's meant to be colours-wise. It looks beautiful. Nice work on the sword there as well. And the little bit of weather in there. The sort of like the shading and stuff to the back of the shield. Nice work, fella. You should be rightly proud of that. Nice one. And Clyde saying, did you marble the base as well? It does look marble, mate. It looks excellent, doesn't it? Really nice work, folks. So, as always, another successful month of painting submissions. So, apologies for not getting them up earlier on in the month. As I said, we had the chat with Annie a couple of weeks ago, and then I wasn't here last week. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that we didn't miss out showing them off. It's always good to see them. Yeah, RG saying She-Ra ideal candidate for 7 TV. Great work. And Jonathan saying, yeah, well done all. Definitely well done all, mate. Yeah, and Tony saying, yeah, Joachim hasn't missed a month. He's saying, I missed 1 month to my shame. I wasn't going to say anything, Tony. I do remember you missed 1 month, but I tell you what, mate, you've hit a lot more deadlines than I have, so I'm not anybody who can point fingers. That would be the case, mate, to be fair. And yeah, Tony saying, Steve, you're a machine. Lovely work. Yeah, he's another one as well who just manages to crank him out even when he's a bit snowed under moving house, which takes a lot of energy out. Yeah, Jez is saying, all amazing work again, folks. Clyde saying, Joachim's a machine. And RG saying, that set of painting is certainly inspirational. It's one of those things where it's just like, as I've always said, it's not about how good you are. It's not about how much you do. It's more just about trying to motivate folks to just try and just keep at it, really. You know, like I need to take a leaf out of my own book, really, because I must admit my painting's been off the boil a little bit. But yeah, these Himetsu minis I think are going to be the next things on my painting table at the minute. I've still got some Star Wars stuff that's being done, but yeah, I will definitely get something in for Red October, that's for sure. Fiji saying, yeah, I wonder if I can play some 7 TV with my He-Man Battle for Eternia minis. That gets my creativity flowing. That would do it, mate. That would definitely do it. And Mordecai saying, yeah, always a pleasure to see everyone's work. It definitely is. So yes, so this week, what's on the agenda this week? This week I will be, obviously I'll have Friday's video to do, which will be the this week in Wargaming. I'm also going to try, I've got those colour forged paints as well that I'm going to do a review video of, but I need some miniatures to use them with, and I feel like that kind of painting method suits kind of Space Marine-esque, you know, like kind of like full body armor, where I can kind of paint them all one color and highlight them up and stuff. And I don't have any Space Marines to paint, so I might try and see if I can find some counts as stuff and 3D print myself off some minis this week to make a review video for them. I'm waiting on a. In fact, I will show you the case. So you might remember I was printing off this. I'll do it this way. These carry cases, where basically you can lift the door off and the stuff goes in on trays and stuff like that. But I kind of went a bit further, and there is a way you can print more than one off, and you can join two together. And what you can do by joining two together is you then get double the amount of storage space for putting all your stuff in. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, the guy that runs this company basically said, I will make you a file to print off for the door with your logo in. So I've basically put the printing on hold, waiting for this kind of for this logo thing. Like, I've printed off some more of these, so these will go on the sides as well. I've printed off trays. I've actually also printed off, let me just show you. I've printed off this. So this is a storage rack. And what you can do is you can print off multiples of these and you can stack them. There are little like kind of holes in the top. Let me just there are basically holes in the top of it. I'll just hold it so you can see it. Where you can stack them on top of each other. And what it means is that if you've got multiple different kind of game systems, you can just put all of your stuff into one of these on a shelf somewhere, and then when you go into games night, you basically just take out the bits you want and put them inside of your case. And as you can see here, I mean, this is like kind of these have like little like flaps on the front that fold down. These are all 3D printed. So there's this. There is also a little shelf here as well, which is for storing cards and stuff in as well. And then there is also a nice little token tray as well, where you can put all your tokens in, and a little removable dice tray to put your dice in, and all of your kind of your measuring widgets and stuff go into here. So this is all part of a video that I'm making, but I'm just waiting for a file to print off the last piece, and then I can basically I can do the video for it. So I've got a few things that's kind of like on the boil in the background, but just waiting for things to finish it off. He says just move these out of the way while we're chatting. So yeah, so there's some 3D printing stuff to come. I've got the Hametsu stuff to have a look through when I get the chance as well, so we'll be looking through that. I've also been sent out some of these blaster archives as well. I've not had a chance to kind of to read through these yet. And essentially what these are is, if you remember the original Blaster magazine that came out, which had kind of rules for games and stuff in, they've basically redone the Blaster magazine, and now each edition has what basically is dedicated to one creator. And what they're doing is they're going back to the old Blaster magazines and re-releasing all of those different things and stuff. Mark's just saying magnets to keep them secure. No, it's not magnets, mate. So basically what you've got is on the front here, you 3D print them with like with a little flap thing that basically closes down, and then you can pull that down, and then the miniatures just slide out. And then when you're ready to put them back in, you can fold up the little flap thing at the front again. It's hard to do with one hand there. That's it. And then once that's folded back up in place, it keeps them in and it stops them falling out. You can kind of see there where they're in like little groove things. So yeah, no need for magnets. Ed saying time for bed. Get great minis all. Thanks Ed. Thanks for popping in, mate. What's that? It's saying there. BG says, as if I need another reason to get an FDM printer. Yeah. Yeah, but I must admit I've been really impressed with the FDM printer, to be fair. Supermountain Pumpkin Man says this is freaking genius. Yeah, it is good. They are good stuff, to be fair. So yeah, I've been printing off printing off all the case stuff, getting that ready as well. And like I see, I'm just waiting for that last file, and then I can start to record the video and things. So I've got like loads of things that are kind of like stacking up in the background, but they're just not ready for full recording yet. But it's amazing how much time just printing things off and stuff takes out of your day. And while the printer's running, I can't record any videos because the noise of the printer's kind of in the background and stuff like that. Don't forget as well, I'm also going down to Mantic Games this weekend as well. They've got their open day, and I'm potentially going to be doing some filming or something down there as well, as a bit of a like kind of so people can see what they're missing out on kind of thing. Although for those overseas who can't get over to Mantic HQ, a little bit of a kind of like a flavour of what the day's about, and try and kind of bring you into it as well. So yeah, I'm hoping to do something with that as well. Marx is but have to have uniform style bases, I see. Not necessarily, mate. So these ones here are specifically printed for Star Wars Shatterpoint, and they fit all of the Star Wars Shatterpoint bases in them. There are generic trays as well, where you can either do them with magnets. There are some where you can, instead of having these little sort of flaps on the front, you can put rubber bands around the front as well, and it stops all of the miniatures coming out. So yeah, so there's lots of different types of trays for lots of different types of miniatures, but these ones are specifically Shatterpoint ones. Jonathan saying, off to get some Zeds. Great Monday evening. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Appreciate you coming in, mate. Clyde saying he's going to the promised land. Yeah, I'm off to Nottingham, mate. So be a bit of an early start. I want to get down there before the Mantic thing opens on Saturday. Sorry. So yeah, that's the plan. I'll get down there early doors on Friday. And Clyde says one of these days I'll have to do a pilgrimage to the Nottinghams. Yeah, I don't get down there so often these days now, but yeah, I'm looking forward to going down. It'd be good to catch up with a few folks down there as well. And like I say, if there's anybody watching in this chat or anything like that, or any of the Patreons, any of the YouTube, any of the Facebook group members, any of that kind of stuff, anybody watching this, if you do see me there, like don't feel like you can't kind of come and say hello or anything like that. As I said before, just remember that I might not know who you are because I don't get to see people's faces. So yeah, just make sure you just kind of introduce yourself, let me know who you are. I'm always happy to talk. So yeah, so that's kind of like that's what this week holds now. The Friday videos, I'm enjoying doing them. They take a bit more time than I think I initially planned. So they do take maybe 2 or 3 days to do those videos. By the time I sort of research what stuff I'm going to talk about, write a script, record the script, and then edit the videos together and stuff like that, which takes quite a little while. But I enjoy them. They're not doing as well as I hoped they would do, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing them because I am enjoying doing it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to crack on doing with. So yeah, so that's what my week's looking like. What about you folks? What are you lot up to? Is there anything you want to chat about tonight before we call it a night? Because I think I feel like we've exhausted the chat about too much choice. I think we've exhausted the chat about the miniatures and stuff. So yeah, Clyde saying you just need to get shared around a bit more. Yeah, unfortunately, it really just YouTube just doesn't seem to want to kind of share them really. You can see it in the background stuff. So I obviously get access to like the analytics of YouTube, and you can see the bit where they start to share it, and then you can see where it's like they just turn it off, they stop sharing it with people, and it just flatlines, and it's a bit of a shame really. I can see exactly like it's been throttled back, if you like, by YouTube, because it's not even like it's a steady kind of like climb of where they're showing it to like say 100 new people or 1,000 new people every day, because the line would gradually grow up, because they basically have a graph which shows you how many impressions YouTube are putting out of that video, and the higher the impression number, the more people have had eyes to see it. and you can see the point where they turn it off and they stop sharing it. So unless you're actually searching for it or you're linked to it from somewhere else, you'll probably never get to see it, and it's just a real shame. I found the one that did the best was the one I did with the overtly kind of shady GW moves. Like, you know, unsurprisingly, that's the one that everybody clicks on the thumbnail, and that's the one, therefore, that YouTube shares out to everybody. The other ones, less so, to be fair. So it is what it is. Mordecai says, is there an ETA on the Colourforge spray paint review? Not really, mate. It's more just about I need to get some miniatures to actually paint with it. Like these kind of stuff, like I was saying before, this stuff from Hametsu, and not the kind of things I would just like sort of blast with a spray can, like and try and put highlights and shades on it. They needed a lot more detailed painting. I think the spray cans work really well for army painting, and they work really well for kind of like where the vast majority of the miniature is one color, things like Space Marines, and I don't have any Space Marines to paint. So like I say, I'm going to have to try and see if I can 3D print some miniatures, because I'm not going to go out and spend like 30-40 quid on Space Marines just to blast them with a spray can and see what it's like. So yeah, I'll see if I can 3D print some Space Marine-esque miniatures. Just saying, I love the quality Photoshop work in them. I enjoy doing them, mate, but yeah, they do take time, I must admit. I probably spend a day too long editing them to make them worthwhile, to be fair, but I do enjoy doing it. Vigi said, I was hoping that popping it in the comments for the 7TV Kickstarter would drive some traffic. Yeah, I think it's just, to be fair, me, I think it's just one of those things. It's just, I'm getting a mix of things. I'm getting some really, really nice feedback. I'll be honest, the people that are watching it seem to be really enjoying it, which is encouraging. I definitely feel that there is a minority of people who basically tune in thinking that they're getting a Games Workshop video and then basically seem a bit peed off that it's not all Games Workshop stuff. So somebody said the other day, what was something about this was a 2-minute advert or something for Colourforge, and then a load of random stuff that I wasn't interested in before I had like a bonus bit of information about Kill Team, and it's like, yeah, fair enough. Like if you don't understand what a news roundup video is, that's on you. That's not me, kind of thing. So I'm fine with that kind of stuff. You're always going to get people who like expect something and then don't get what they expect. But the vast majority of people seem to be enjoying it. It's not for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to fit with YouTube's kind of algorithm needs, if you like. And like I say, they seem to be switching it off before it's really getting a chance to sort of get in front of people. And when I say they're switching it off, like they're literally switching it off within a day, or sort of less than 48 hours, which is a bit frustrating from my side of things, because I've always said I just wish people could get to see it and make their own mind up if it's something for them or not, rather than like not even getting out in front of people. So it is what it is, let's be honest. Let's have a little look here. RG says terrain painting is a hard life. VG says still loving this week in Wargaming and sharing it with as many people as possible. Any shares are absolutely appreciated. I really do appreciate that. It's really difficult for me to share my stuff elsewhere because I'm just basically shilling my stuff out there. But when it comes from people who've enjoyed it, it kind of comes with a bit more kudos, if you like. Yeah, Clyde saying clearly we just need to mutate more eyes to help with views. VG says linking them with more of the companies actually being covered would be a good proactive move, as they can put them out to their audience. I think the problem is, mate, and I've found this in the past sometimes, is some companies that they like, it's good for them to be able to see their stuff kind of shared, but then they don't want to then link a video that shares like a load of other company stuff as well. They're a bit funny like that sometimes. So it's a bit of a mix of stuff, to be fair. John Shepherd says, I found your channel on a recommendation from Rob Oren on his channel. Rob's a good guy. Me and Rob have done a couple of videos together, to be fair, in the past. We've done like a little bit of chat and stuff backwards and forwards. He's a nice guy. Just the same, why can't you make your stuff entirely for me? That's kind of where I thought, mate, as well, to be fair. Mordecai saying the one-page rules starter set models might be a good candidate if you're still working on that. Yeah, to be honest, they're the only ones I haven't printed off. I printed off the other army if you like. In fact, I can't even remember if the starter set models are. I don't think they're kind of like Marini type stuff. I'll have to have a look. And RG's saying, yeah, one-page rules will be a good place to start with the Colour Forge. Yeah, I think so. To be fair, if I can get the right files to print something off, I think that'll be perfect. Classic. Whoa, you have two friends, Mr. Fancy Pants. I appreciate the help, VJ, but yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing I need, really, just to... Like I say, I've got no problem with people not liking the content that I produce. Like, not everybody likes everything. That's absolutely fine. It just becomes a little bit frustrating when it doesn't even get the chance to breathe. It doesn't even get the chance to get out there to be looked at, really. That's when it gets a bit annoying. Yeah. So I think that's probably a good spot to wrap it up for this week. So we'll be back on Monday with another live stream. You've still got a few weeks left for your Red October painting challenge. There'll be another this week in Wargaming on Friday, and I'm hoping if I can get the last of the files and stuff like that for the 3D printing stuff, because the guy actually who makes those files has got a Kickstarter run at the minute, and I was hoping to try and sort of talk about his Kickstarter at the same time I show off the things that I've been printing, but I don't think it's going to get finished this week. So what I might do is I might talk about his Kickstarter in the This Week in Wargame and stuff. RG says, what's the finish date for the October challenge? Let me check my calendar, mate, because I can't remember. Excuse me. The closing date for the October challenge. I can't remember what I said now. Did I say? I can't remember if I said Sunday the 29th. Did I say Sunday the 29th? I can't remember what I said now, but let's say... Hang on, when did I do it? I announced it on the 2nd, didn't I? It wasn't on last week. I announced it on the 2nd, so that would be 1, 2, 3... No, I think we said Sunday the 5th of November, we'll say is the last day. And we'll be we'll be showing them off on the 6th of November. Because otherwise, I think you've only had 3 weeks, haven't you? No, you would have had 4 weeks. 29th of October. Sunday the 29th of October is the deadline. Sunday, 29th of October. There you go. VG saying, thanks for the stream, Andy. Thanks for the company, you lot of retrobates. Thank you very much. Jezza saying, have a great week, folks. Thank you as well for coming in, folks. I always appreciate you guys coming in. Or guys and girls, I should say. I shouldn't be presumptuous there. And I will see you all, if you're not in the Patreon, in the chat. If you're not in the Patreon, why not join the Patreon? It costs you less than $2 a month. In fact, it doesn't cost you less. It costs you from $2 a month. Come and join the Patreon and come and hang out with this lot during the week as well. And if not, I will see you all next week. Take care, folks. Thanks again for popping in. And I will hope you all have a lovely week. Bye now.